Hello, and welcome back to the Glowing Mama Method podcast, where we discuss healthy and sustainable weight loss for women over 40. And today we're going to be talking about the Glowing Mama mantras. And these are essentially the phrases that I repeat ad nauseum to my clients over and over and over again. Now, most of these mantras have to do with nutrition, and I find that the reason that most of my mantras are related to that pillar is because it's one of the hardest to change our habits in. And so I find myself repeating the same things over and over again, which have become known as the Glowing Mama mantras. So let's get straight into it, and we will talk about each one and what they mean. There are 8 of them. Number 1, health is in the details. So health is in the details means that someone can be eating what seems to be a health-promoting diet of protein and veggies, and they might not be seeing the results that they're looking for and wondering why it's not working for them. Well, this is where health is in the details is very, very important to understand. Because it's not just about what you're eating, it's about the details of that food that you're eating. When it comes to produce, were they sprayed with pesticides? Are you getting it from a local farmer, or has it been sitting in the grocery store and maybe flown across continents to get onto your plate? When it comes to meat, which I would argue is the most important food to pay attention to quality, are you getting meat that is riddled with antibiotics, hormones, and was that animal fed genetically modified wheat, corn, and soy and cooped up in tight quarters for factory farming? Or did that animal live a life that was free and in nature and fresh air, eating what they were meant to eat? So for cows, grass-fed cows, without any of those injections that are essentially going straight into you once you eat those animals. Now, a lot of the documentaries that are pushing vegan lifestyles are actually comparing a vegan lifestyle to a conventional meat-eating diet. And the reason why vegans are coming across as the winners in that comparison is because the conventional meat eaters are essentially eating genetically modified foods through the meat that they're eating, as well as that antibiotics and the hormones. And not only that, most people are then pairing it with sugary condiments and ultra processed carbohydrates, which just makes it a recipe for disaster. So meat is not the enemy, it's the low quality stuff that is. So when you take someone, again, who is eating protein and vegetables, you can get someone who is really burdening their bodies with a lot of toxic load versus someone who is not. And at a surface level, it looks like they're eating the same things. When it comes to packaged foods, are we looking at, is there corn syrup or cornstarch in there? Are we getting a bunch of preservatives in there? Is there canola oil, vegetable oil, all of these inflammatory seed oils? And can we look at those details and choose foods that just have better ingredients and satisfy the same craving, whether that's a cracker, a cookie, a chips, whatever it is that you want to be snacking on, you can do so in the best way possible by just paying attention to detail. You also have to pay attention to the details of your household. What are you putting on your body? So your makeup, your beauty products, your shampoo, conditioner, body wash, and what are you exposing yourself to in terms of smells? So laundry detergent, dish soap, dishwasher detergent, like all of these things that are potentially adding to your toxic load just by having them in, on, and around you. If you're washing your sheets in toxic detergents and fabric softeners, and then you're lying in bed for 8 hours and breathing that stuff in, then you are essentially adding to that toxic load bucket just because we're not paying attention to the details. So paying attention to the details not only comes from what is going into your mouth, but in your home and beauty products, as well as your relationship with EMFs. Now, I'm sitting here in front of a computer and right beside my Wi-Fi, and this is just the nature of my job. But can you have EMF protective devices around you that can help to mitigate the damage that those products are doing? Do you have to wear that Apple Watch 24/7 and track the sleep that you already have been tracking for quite some time? Do you need to wear wireless headphones? I know, it's annoying to have a wire attached to the phone that you're listening to, but would you rather microwave your brain? Right? Let's pay attention to the details. So that's mantra number 1. I could probably go on for days, but I just want to get through the basics of each of these so you understand what each of these mantras means and what to consider when I say them. The next mantra is you are either winning or you're learning. And this is a really important one for people, especially who are just starting out on any type of health journey, health optimization, body composition changes, anything that you're trying to do to make your body better, to feel better, to look better. You need to understand that you're either winning or you're learning, because the alternative is looking at the learning as actually a failure. And then your brain will convince you that you have failed and that it's time to revert back to old ways because it's no use, because you can't do it anyway. You're not good enough. You're not capable. You know how it goes. That inner bully that is constantly talking to us and trying to tell us that we can't do something. So when we approach wins and failures as wins and lessons, you're either winning or you're pulling a lesson from the suboptimal decision that you made, and then you're moving forward more intelligently with the awareness of the outcome of that choice that you made. So when it comes to food, I notice when I eat gluten or dairy, it affects my bowels negatively. My mood dips. My energy is not as good. I don't sleep as well. So the next time you're presented with that food, you might make a different decision just because you have learned and connected what the outcome of those decisions will look and feel like. Now, we're going to have to vacillate between the old self and the new self. We're going to have to fall down a bunch of times and learn the same lessons over and over again until we can finally evolve to the place where we just don't eat dairy anymore, right? That is a boundary that you will learn to make for yourself from an empowered place, not because your coach said so, not because it's not allowed on the diet, but because you know what you're going to feel like after you eat that thing. You know the consequences of having that thing, so you're not going to choose to have that. And that is a win. So when you're failing, sit with the discomfort and understand that this is really, really important to learn and to grow and to evolve from this place. And yeah, it's uncomfortable because we know once you have an awareness of those things, you know what the outcome is going to be. And after a certain amount of time, you will not let yourself get away with making those same mistakes or having to learn that same lesson over and over again. You can apply this to exercise as well, right? I know that if I go more than 4 days without any structured exercise, my mood is going to dip. And sometimes it happens. Sometimes I get busy with work and I'm doing all the things, and then I notice myself in a bad mood for no reason. And I have learned to connect those two things. So, okay, I haven't had a workout in 5 or 6 days. It's time to get a workout in so that I can support my mood and keep moving in the right direction and feeling like my best self. So we're either winning and doing the best possible for our bodies, or we are falling back into old patterns and ways and choices and feeling the discomfort of that, which is going to lead to learning because we have a keen awareness of what is going on when we indulge in those foods or don't take part in exercise or don't sleep enough or don't do our mindset work or meditation. This can be applied to all of the pillars. And it's the most positive way that you can approach your setbacks without feeling like a failure and then falling off the wagon because of it. Number 3 is level up your indulgences. So this kind of plays into the first mantra, that health is in the details. But how do we apply that when we actually want to indulge in something that is sweet or salty or savory or anything that we're craving? So the best way to indulge is to actually choose a way to satisfy that craving that your body actually knows how to break down those foods and it's not going to sabotage your results. So for example, there's a company that's called Stellar Eats, and they make really nice powdered brownie mix and cookie mix and pizza dough and all of these things that you usually just have to add like water and oil or butter to these products, and then you bake them, and the ingredients are so high quality you can satisfy that sweet craving in a way that is actually still kind of health promoting. And then when it comes to that indulgence, as my clients will know, you always put a base of protein in your body before you indulge in anything that is higher in sugar, even if it is good quality stuff, because you are going to limit that blood sugar response that happens when you eat that brownie. So best of both worlds, you can indulge, you can taste the things you want to taste, but do so in a way that your body understands and that doesn't cause you any digestive upset or setbacks. We're very lucky to live in a society where we have access to all of the things. Everything is at the click of a button right now. You can buy the best quality chips that have potatoes, avocado oil, and sea salt. You could buy the best quality dark chocolate that has minimal ingredients and is essentially a health food because it's so high in magnesium and antioxidants. You don't have to go and buy a Kit Kat and destroy your health just to satisfy that chocolate craving. You don't have to eat a bag of chips that has 20 different ingredients, including corn syrup, food dyes, and other things that should have no place in your body. So this brings us to the next mantra, which is when you can't control for quality, control for quantity. Now you'll know if you have worked with me that I am not a fan of calorie counting, weighing, measuring, even paying attention to the quantity of food that's on your plate. Because when you are eating the health promoting foods like protein, fat, and fiber, those things are going to tell you when enough is enough. You are not going to be overeating on those things. And actually, most women have to learn how to nourish their bodies more fully. And I often have to coach people on how to increase the volume on their plate. The only time that I am going to tell you to control for quantity is when you're eating something that is a suboptimal choice. Let's say you're going for ice cream with the family. Can you get a little kiddie scoop in a cup rather than a double scoop in a waffle cone? So you can satisfy that ice cream craving by just having a little bit to taste. Let's say you're going to a birthday party and there's going to be pizza there and there's going to be all types of foods that you can't eat or shouldn't be eating, but you know that you want to indulge in this pizza. Can you scramble up some eggs before you go? Get a base of protein in your system so you are not ravenous when you show up to this party, and then maybe have one slice of pizza versus 3. So just paying attention to quantity when it comes to suboptimal foods is your best way to include these foods in your life without sabotaging your results. Now, the caveat here is anyone who has an actual diagnosis, Crohn's, colitis, IBS, any of these types of things, your body has had enough and it is screaming at you to make change. For these people, I would suggest not following this mantra at all and just removing those things completely. And when you apply that winning or learning mantra, you are going to see very, very quickly how these foods are absolutely debilitating to your body because your body is screaming at you for change at this point. So the time is now to really create strong boundaries around food and understand that this is a necessary step in your healing journey. So I am now at the phase in my life where I can indulge in things here and there, and nothing really bothers me that much anymore. I might get a little bit bloated if I eat too much legumes or dairy or gluten, but for the most part, I can veer myself back on track very easily, and I don't have pain associated with eating those foods. However, there was about a 2-year span in my healing journey when I had to strictly cut those foods out of my diet so that I could get to where I am today, where my gut is healed and I feel good enough to indulge a little bit in all of the things that I may want to eat at some point or another. This next mantra also ties into this. So most of the time we are eating for our bodies. We want our bodies to feel nourished. We want to provide it with all the vitamins and minerals and macronutrients that it needs in order to thrive. However, sometimes you're going to be eating for your soul. And my best example of that is like Nonna's lasagna. When you go to your grandmother's house and they make a cultural dish that might not be the best for your body, but you know how much love was poured into that dish, and it's the connection of sitting around the table with your family and enjoying that food. That's when you are going to bend on your boundaries a little bit and maybe just deal with the consequences. Sometimes you just know I'm going to feel bloated after this, and still worth it, right? It's just, if we're doing that on a regular basis, we are going to cause harm and damage. So most of the time we're eating for our bodies, at least 80% of the time. At least all of the foods that you're cooking at home are for your body. And then when you are in a situation where you got to eat for your soul because you just got to do it for the experience, then you just allow it. Just allow yourself, and then you go into observation mode, winning or learning, right? Learning, okay, how can I make this dish in a more health promoting way myself? How can I support my body? Maybe you're going to take a digestive enzyme before you go to that lasagna party where you're going to be eating the gluten and the dairy. Same thing, maybe you're going to make a little bit of protein before you go so that you're not starving and have 2 huge pieces of lasagna. You have a little bit, maybe some salad on the side or whatever else is there. You could also consider bringing a sharing dish if there's something that is going to be offered that you know is not the best for your digestive system. You can bring, let's say, like a chicken salad. So you have protein and veggies there, and then you can just eat the soul food just for the taste. Okay, our next mantra is time versus money. When it comes to food, you are either going to have to spend time or money to get the result that you wish to get. Do you hate cooking? Well, maybe you're going to have to spend money on a food delivery service that provides organic, good quality products that you can just warm up in the oven and eat. Maybe you're going to spend the money on buying those fermented products like sauerkraut or coconut kefir because you don't want to take the time to make those yourself. And that's okay. We're allowed to choose between time or money. But when you don't have the money, you got to make the time. So if I didn't have the money to buy my sauerkraut in store, I would buy a head of cabbage and some sea salt, and I would press that into the jar, let it ferment for a few days, and then I've got myself some sauerkraut. I just don't choose to make that a priority at this phase in my life, and I'm always looking to level up. So we'll get there in the future. But you are always going to be faced when it comes to diet and leveling up. Do you want to spend time in your kitchen making the things, or do you want to just buy them and save yourself the time that it would take? So that's a very simple one, but it's a question that you've got to ask yourself often, because a very common statement when people are just getting started is, man, this lifestyle is expensive. And yes, it absolutely can be. but you've got to decide where your time and where your money is going to be going. So if you don't have the money, you're going to be in that kitchen making all of the things to support your health. If you don't have the time because you're working so much, then maybe you need to spend the money and just choose that. You also have to ask yourself, what are my priorities when it comes to my spending? Go back and look at your credit card bill over the last month and see what you have purchased that you maybe didn't need to purchase, right? Are we buying clothing? Are we spending money on travel? Are we spending money on makeup? Where is it that your money is going, and what does that say about your values? For me, I spend all of my money in the grocery store and the odd travel experience because that's what's important to me. And I feel justified in that because I care more about what foods are going into my body than what clothing I have on my body. Now, if you are in a very abundant place and can afford to do both, then all the power to you, and I am on my way there as well. But when push comes to shove and we have to make a choice, I'm always going to choose good quality food over anything else. The last two mantras have more to do with the mindset pillar than anything else, and this is a really important piece to add into any health optimization program because the way that you think, feel, and act is going to determine your ability to see results. The first one I want you to consider is that your struggle is your superpower. So a lot of people come to me with issues either with anxiety or depression or binge eating or relationship issues, and it just weighs heavily on them and it stops them from seeing the results that they wish to see, even after doing all of the right things when it comes to food, when it comes to exercise, when it comes to sleep. If you can't get your mental state right, then you will not see the results that you're looking to see. So instead of beating yourself up about where you're at, you're going to start to do the work. So we're listening to books, we're listening to podcasts, we're listening to meditations. We're applying the concepts that we've listened to into our regular life and allowing ourselves to work to overcome these struggles. And at the same time, we're not going to beat ourselves up about where we're at because the struggle that you are currently working to overcome may be what you are meant to help people with in this lifetime. I wouldn't be where I am today without having to struggle with gut issues and health issues and metabolic issues and hormonal issues. The fact that I have had to overcome those things makes me a pillar of light for people who are currently struggling with those exact things. And if I never went through them, I never would have put my attention on learning how to overcome them. And I probably wouldn't be able to teach people how to do the same. Part of me going into the fitness industry, going into the nutrition industry, was me trying to figure my own self out. And once I was able to figure my own self out, I was able to help other people overcome those same issues. And that is my superpower. And the fact that I have experienced those things actually validates me even more with potential customers because they know I get it, they know I understand, and they know that I've overcome it, so they see hope through my example. If I didn't go through what they've gone through, see a little bit of a disconnect because what do you know about what I'm going through, right? I've been where you are. I've been uncomfortable in my body. I've been in pain in my gut. I've had random symptoms that I had no idea where they were coming from and was just dismissed by my doctor and told to go on birth control and metformin because it sounds like I got PCOS. Like, I get it. And that is what makes me good at what I do today. So whatever you're working to overcome, just keep in mind that this might be part of your soul's purpose in how you are going to serve this world with your gifts. And the final mantra that we're going over is, how can I choose peace in this moment? And we can use the word peace and ease interchangeably. How can I choose ease in this moment? How can I choose peace in this moment? When you're triggered, how can you choose peace? When you are overwhelmed with work and dishes and got to get a workout in and got to make a meal and got to take care of the kids, how can I choose ease in this moment? What can I put down right now? What can I delegate right now? When we flex the muscle of choosing peace and choosing ease, we no longer feel shackled and overburdened by life's responsibilities because we know that we're in the driver's seat. We can choose peace. I can choose to put everything down and go out for a walk in the sun. Most of our overwhelm and anxiety and depression is actually self-inflicted by the stories that we tell ourselves about the meaning that we've applied to our lived reality. The reality is that we can choose different for ourselves. We can go at our own pace. There is no prize at the finish line. We are all going to expire one day or another. So might as well live for today and choose best case scenario for your well-being, for your physical well-being, for your mental well-being, for your emotional well-being. Is it worth it to yell at the guy who cut you off as you were driving? Is it worth it to scream at your kids because they won't brush their teeth and you've had a hard day at work? Or would you be better off choosing peace and just walking away from that situation for a moment so you can go and gather yourself and come back in a peaceful place? If your child is not eating the vegetables on their plate, are you going to fight with them, or are you going to choose ease and tell them, you know what? They're there for you when you want it. When we can empower our kids to make decisions based on peace and ease as well, everything is just going to flow better. So those are the 8 Glowing Mama mantras. I'm sure more will come, and I will update you when they do, but these are the most common phrases and concepts that I cover with my clients in the Glowing Mama coaching container. Now, if you are feeling like any of this resonated with you and you need some guidance to help you evolve into the person that you are trying to become, then hit me up. I have a link in the description below so that you can book a complimentary consultation to see if the Glowing Mama coaching container is right for you. I will see you next week on the Glowing Mama Method podcast.